Welcome everybody to Mutanda University School of Soft Skills. My name is Kevin Enyango, the founder of the platform. I've got to say that today is a bit different because you cannot see our faces. This is due to a technological issue, but here we are. Now, today I am not alone. I am with one and only Dr. Willy Mutunga. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin, and I appreciate your invitation, and another chance to talk to the youth of this country.
Well, and I've got to say, Dr. Mutunga, why can't we see your face? Let the audience know that. What's the reason?
Well, it's a technical issue in my apartment. My Wi-Fi is not that strong, and it vacillates, and so my experience, and I'm trying to sort it out. I'm trying to sort it out, but if I switch on my camera, all right, then the audio becomes problematic, and then we have all these interruptions. So I'm trying to find out what it is from the technical people in the judiciary who have installed this stuff here.
Right. Well, listen, it doesn't matter really. You are here now. I know people know your voice, and this is not fake at all. Dr. Mutunga, for those that don't know you, don't recognize you, because this is streamlined all over the world. Dr. Mutunga is the former Chief Justice and President of Court of Appeal?
No, the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court. Thanks for that correction. And you told me you don't like being referred to as retired Chief Justice.
Yes, because I'm not tired. So it's and in any case, I think I like the American version, where if you are president, people always call you president, so and so. If you're Chief Justice in the US, they don't talk about retired or former, all right? They call you CJ so and so. This version of retired has come from the military, military experience. And like many other things, it's never interrogated. People think that is fine, to call people retired and former, when you can't retire, when struggles continue, when issues are being discussed and so forth. So it has a very what shall I say, a very retiring note to it, and that's why I always try to demystify the issue of a retired person. Once you are a CJ and the president of the court, you are that until you die. You can be specific and say you are that, 2011 to 2016, which is fine, right?
Yes. You move on to other things.
Yeah, so, you say, like me, I was the 14th Chief Justice of Kenya since independence. There are other ways of describing people, because there's the notion of former retired is that, okay, you consign into the dustbin of history, you have no contribution you can make. And that perception is the one that Kevin have problems with.
Right. Well, it's good you made that clear, and I actually appreciate that. For those that have just joined us, this is Mutanda University School of Soft Skills, and I'm talking to Dr. Willy Mutunga. Now, I want to call you Willy, but I cannot. Dr. Mutunga.
No, you can call me that. That's, even my grandchildren and my children call me that. It's again, it's again, okay, it's a cultural thing, but if grandchildren can call their their grandfathers by their first name. Eh?
Yes.
Why not? I'm sure. I don't know how old you are, but you're probably in the category of my grandchildren.
I take
So
that as a
feel
compliment.
free, man.
I take that as a compliment. Well, listen, let's talk about grandchildren, and you sound to be very, very informal. I want to go back to soft skills,
Yes,
Willie. And I know when we're discussing it, you asked me to define what I think soft skills are, but I'm going
right.
to bring this back to you now with all your experience that you've done, all through your work as a human rights, as a lawyer, as a judge. Uh, will you categorize soft skills as an important skill to have, and what is it actually, as per you?
Well, we discussed that issue, and I want to begin by saying, when we discuss soft skills, we should not do that in a vacuum, all right?
Yes,
because it has to be in a context, okay? Because what you're asking me is, what if people aspire to be, let's take for example one of our great young role models in the media. You know who that is?
There are lots of people.
Yeah, but the top one, I think, is Larry
Yes,
Madowo,
I was going to say
right?
that. Yes. Carry
Yes,
on.
we can say Larry Madowo. Okay. So if you can look at him as a role model, and the young people say, how did he get there? All right.
Yes. Mhm.
What skills does he or soft skills does he have, and how did he acquire them?
Yes.
Okay, and why have those skills made him a very, very competitive commodity?
Yes, he is very hot. Yes.
in the media, and so I wanted to discuss that in a very important context that the young people have to be aware of. Okay. Yes. That if you ask how many Madowos are, in this country, there's only one. There might be others who are aspiring. And when you talk about soft skills, you have to think about self-education. You have to think about formal education. You have to think about the environment. You have to think about politics, the economy. All right, many things, right? And whether you are society, whether the society we are talking about, our society, and where we're talking to young people about soft skills and helping them, compete, all right? Whether the society itself gives young people that chance, and is there an environment for these skills to be developed, and there is there an opportunity for the competition to take place. So I just wondered that as you go with your podcast, right?
Yes.
To make sure that young people also look at the context, these the factors under which what you are discussing, all right, operate, and that's why I'm saying what we are discussing doesn't exist in a vacuum, because if let's say we basically say young people should have, and one of the soft skills for me is being persuasive.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's very, very, very important. If you're going to be interviewed for a job, or you want to do something with people, you want to be an organizer, mobilizer like Mwangi, you want to be a musician, a songwriter like Giuliani, all right? Persuading people.
And do people learn that, Dr. Mutunga?
What?
Can people learn what? So they are, let's take persuasion. Can one learn that, or you're born with it? You either have it or not.
No. It's you're right. You can be. I take the position that every human being has a special talent. Okay, it's a whole question of identifying. Okay, that talent and having a school system that will basically look at Kevin and say, Kevin is headed to be a scientist, right? Or a musician, or a lawyer or a writer, and so forth. This is quite easy. But when you have an education system that is, is like, which you can use the metaphor of a kettle dip. Are you familiar with a kettle dip?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, you put all the animals in there, and there is a hard mentality, and you're not interested in an individual, in one cow or one bull. You just want them through that system, and they get to the end and the ticks are killed or whatever. All right. But so yeah, we are born with special talent.
Yes.
Talent.
But it's up to but it's up to individual now to pick up that talent and run away with it.
Yes, because if it's identified and the parents encourage you, I've known a lot of people who are great musicians, but they were born in Christian homes and they were told playing the guitar is satanic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you don't develop it. And although that skill in some cases people resist, and they resist a formal education to pursue, that goal. So that is also important, that if as a young person or as a person, you're very passionate about a particular thing, you want to draw, or you want to get into carpentry, and the people are telling you, oh, maybe your father is a lawyer or an accountant, I say you are wasting time. All right, that is the problem that I find, either within the communities or within the education system. Yes. All right. Yes. Then the notion that one size fits all.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the kids are innovative, and if you watch, you know exactly what they're going to be good at. All right. And then we should have an education system that supports us, that grows those skills. All right. And a society where once your skills are mature and you can give back to society, there's an opportunity. What is the use of going all the way to the, joining the university and getting a good degree? All right.
Yes.
And then we get those stories of that young man who was washing cars and he has a first-class degree.
Yes.
In a very, very, very important area of sciences. All right.
Yes. So who's failing young people then? Who is failing young people? Is it the society, the government?
It's let's say, collectively as a nation, we are failing young people. All right. In the sense that we all see what is happening. Okay, the fundamental problem in any society really is the political leadership. Okay, because political leaderships are the ones that are supposed to lead the country in the areas of economy, in the areas of social pursuits, cultural pursuits, political pursuits. It's that leadership that has the control of resources. All right. It's that leadership that has to come up with the ideas that we are talking about. Okay, what kind of education are we going to give our kids and so forth? And are we going to have public participation about it? you know, the new system, which is called what, the competitive something. It has just come out. All right.
Yes. I know. Yes, the new education system. Yes, and people are
Yeah,
struggling with that.
it was not debated. You know,
Yes.
it was not debated, and it's an example of the leadership failing people. Some people who think they are very intelligent, whether it's Professor Magoa or the bureaucrats in that ministry and others, who basically think that they can decide on the welfare of our children and our education without a robust, you know, public participation in issues. Education is the mother of all rights. Okay, so I would say yes, as the political leadership is failing us, but we as a people, we are also failing our children because we are not resisting those bullies and saying, wait a minute, okay, we have gone through 844, right? You know, the one that Kibaki said 8 minus 4, I mean 8-4-4, well, minus 4 equals 0.
Yes.
And that was a critique of it. All I'm saying is, and I went through the colonial system, which was an imposition also, all right? Those kind of systems are very, very, very problematic, because the politics of it is basically not to identify these soft skills, these unique talents, you know, that people have, and the fact that you don't have to despair, all right, of a kid that is having problems with the mathematics or whatever and whatever.
Yes.
Because it's up to us to identify with the help of, you know, those particular students or kids. Do we ever ask people, you know, what they are passionate about? Okay, and that's why there should be an education system that identifies, you know, identifies these skills, and then when they are identified, that's when what you are discussing becomes very important, isn't it?
That's interesting. I mean, you mentioned, sorry to cut you short, you mentioned three things that I don't forget. So you mentioned about the environment, the school, and individual. And also, when you were starting the discussion, you said we should put this in context. Now, if you allow me to use your experience as when you were the president of the court of the judiciary. So, will you say that before you hired people or before you gave people opportunity, you used to look at the soft skills? Were those important, or your just qualification first?
Well, first, you know, let me say, and it's very good that you are putting that in a context, right? Because the context you were talking about now is the kind of judiciary that we wanted to change, right?
You wanted to change?
Yes, and we had a transformation framework, all right? And we looked at the context, and the context was that, you know, the recruitment should be democratic, fair, and just, all right? And the you know, the skills, yes, we said judges should not just come from people who are working in the judiciary. Judges can come from the academia, all right?
Yes.
Judges can come from the civil society, human rights movements. They can come from the corporate sector, all right?
Yes.
So that judges reflect the collective intellect of the of our environment, right? If somebody has been a company secretary in a corporate sector, they have skills they can bring in, okay? If somebody has been a great lawyer in practice, yes, that is important. If somebody has been a magistrate for a long time, that is an experience. So that is the context. And then when you start, you know, looking for skills and and talents, and the fact that you have to make sure that the judiciary as the face of Kenya, it is gender just,
Yes.
because you can't, when I joined the judiciary, the Court of Appeal, for example, didn't have a single woman, all right? Wow. So those are issues. And then we also came up with our university in the judiciary, institution of higher learning, which is called the Judiciary Training Institute, right?
Yes.
Where people train, whether they are secretaries, whether they are cleaners. We thought this was very, very, very important, so that people are experts in their work, and we allowed a lot of people also to do degrees, higher education, by making sure that there was time for that. Okay, one of my great pleasures at the judiciary was to see one of my colleagues, or many of my colleagues, who are clerks, others who are, court clerks, who studied and they became advocates, and I'll see them when I'm admitting them to the role of advocates, right?
So what were you looking first then at Dr. Mutunga?
Yeah, if you're looking, then are you saying what were we looking at when you were recruiting judges? Or
yes, indeed. Well, you can take that if you want, but just in general, when you were the president at the court and you're employing people, give people opportunity, were you looking at the experience first in academics, or were you looking also at the soft skills, the personality, what you're talking about here now?
Yeah. It's all those. It's good you mentioned that issue of personality. All right, because the judiciary was always seen as aloof. Okay, and the people working there, people had the perception that they don't really care about people who go to the judiciary, etc. So we were looking for that also. That, are you the kind of person who is ready to go to a court and look at the people and wish them good morning, okay? And tell them what the case is about, and what that you promise that you hear them, and the case will be finalized as quickly as possible. That's why the Judicial Training Institute came up with pledges, okay, 6 pledges. So that it wasn't just a magistrate who are just coming in and everybody's told to stand up and you bow, to this God who is sitting there.
Yes.
We changed that, where we changed that perception, where it's the judge, it's the magistrate who gets in and says, good morning, Kenyans. Welcome to this court. This is what we promise, and so forth and so forth. Very important. And you don't lock up people because their cell phones go off. You basically tell them, just switch them off. You can tell, because people forget, right?
Yes.
And so you have ground rules which people see, and people become very easy in the in the court as the cases are being heard. You don't have the judge shouting. You don't have the clerk who is interpreting. Showing some kind of status. So we borrowed that. That aspect I'm talking about. We borrowed it from the Kadhi courts and from the traditional courts, right?
Yes.
Because the traditional courts, if you see where elders sit under a tree and all that.
Yes.
Even if you are mad, you are allowed to say something if you want to say it. Okay. And the environment is such that you can then talk about justice, all right?
Yes,
You
yes,
can talk
yes.
about, fairness, and that is important. But that value, that attribute, came out of the Judiciary Training Institute, okay? Once people were hired. So you can say, initially we will look at the qualifications, all right? We will look at the references, because there were always recommendations from all over the place, and there was also public participation. People could come in and say, Kevin can't be a good judge because of this and that. He can't be a good magistrate. So the recruitment process was also, allowing people and those who get appointed to know that this is what people think about you, all right? And what people think about the judiciary, and that's the image that we had to change. So it's a whole question of changing the individuals, all right, and letting them know that the institutions, requires this, and you look out for them, and that's where the environment, I say, then forces are people who want to compete, to nurture,
yes,
to nurture, those values. Because if you go for an interview in the judiciary and display a lot of arrogance,
yes,
before the Judicial Service Commission, you're losing it, however bright you might be. All right.
That is interesting. Please carry on.
Yeah, because who wants judges who are dictators anyway? We have enough dictators in the political scene. So you need to have an institution that is pro-people, all right? That shows kindness, persuasion, because people who are charged in various crimes, they need to be convinced that whatever they have done, all right, there is fairness and there's humanity, okay? Yes. And the processes of dealing with the cases are humane and very compassionate, all right?
I want to stick on the environment part. For those that are just joining us, this is Mtandao Varsity School of Soft Skills. I'm talking to Dr. Willy Mutunga, the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court of Kenya between 2011 to 2016. So Willy, people listen to us right now, or those young people just coming, fresh, they're fresh graduates, are looking for opportunities. Yes. Are we telling them that the society has failed them in terms of nurturing the personality side of the scale?
I'm asking them to question that, okay? Because I don't want to have a stereotype, all right? So I'm asking them, if, as I was saying, if they are passionate about music, all right, how did the family help them, all right, to nurture and develop that, particular talent?
Are those looking for white-collar jobs?
Well, whichever really, but it's a white-collar jobs that are competitive, because we used Larry Madowo, all right?
Yes, or Bonny Mwangi.
But the context, the reason why I put in a context is that we've got to cast our net wider.
Yes.
Okay, because a musician might not, somebody who is passionate about writing music and singing, all right? And that person wants to use his or her talent to change this country. So the lyrics will obviously determine what the political vision of this person is, okay? And at that point, they might basically know that there isn't much money in music, all right? But they know there is competition, and they can they can make it, right? So it's also individual as well as its community, and also the schools, the churches, that the religious houses where people go to, whether it's mosque, whether it's synagogue, temple, or church. All right. We grow in that context where we have to think through all manner of information about how to develop your soft skills, right?
Yes.
And what I'm urging is for people just to be, to have what we might call critical thinking about what they're hearing about education, be critical. The moment they have known what they are passionate about, and they can now, just like the people who have skills, the intellectual capacity to get to university and study, all right? They are, when they are looking for jobs, and this is the painful part of it.
Yes.
It's, with the skills, and here we are talking about skills, the fact that society doesn't give you a chance, to build your society on the basis of the skills that you have, right?
Yes.
It's crashes. It's the violation of human dignity, because a job is the basis of human dignity. Okay, no human beings wants to be supported by their parents until they are 50. Okay, simply because the society is not thinking through where the jobs come from, and when they think about it, whether it's NYS or Western funds, you know what happens, So,
Willy, we talk about society.
Yeah.
So we talk about society. So you mean the political leadership or society in general? I want to be specific.
Because there is an interaction between political leadership and the society in general. All right. If you look at the root causes of the context we are in, whether it's political, whether it's economic, whether it's cultural or spiritual, all right, it's a context that fundamentally, yes, is political, but it's also us, because if there's something that we see that is not is a context that is not is good for us, okay, it's also our duty. It's also our duty to, to change it, to resist what we don't want, and make sure that we are creating a society where we don't get first of all, we don't get an education system that keeps the poor out of that system.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
And you and I know that bright people, talented people are born from rich homes as well as poor homes.
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
It's the opportunity that a bright kid from the informal settlements, all right? Will that kid get a chance to, develop those skills and so forth? Or is it basically the end of the road, for those kids? And that's why I was saying education, just like health and everything else that is required as a material need by every human being, should be accessible, to all. And that's we keep on getting to that context because I think it's important. And we can also discuss the role models, all right?
Yes.
And take Larry Madowo, see, where did he grow up, which schools did he go to,
Yes.
his family, his community, all right? And who identified, his great talent. A lot of those people, they also work very hard,
Yes.
and that is also a great thing. I mean, the competitive edge of anybody, if somebody wants to compete, that ought to be encouraged. If they,
But the game is not fair, though, Dr. Mutunga. And and when you started, well, a few seconds ago, you mentioned about whether you're rich or poor family. It has to be fair, isn't it?
yeah, because that is the context. That the context is, what are we talking about there? We are talking about resources, isn't it?
Yes.
We are
Yes, yeah,
talking
that's one
about
element.
equitable distribution of resources. We are talking about the Constitution, which says that we have the right to education, all right? We have the right to health and clean water, the basic needs. But if we take education, for example, right? You look at it and it's not what it shuts out, people from poor homes.
Yes.
And if they get to do very well on all levels, they might not even get loans to study in the university. So all you get is now people coming together to try and get this kids to school, all right? But is that practice sustainable? Where when people get sick, we contribute so that they get treated. When they get to school, we contribute. It's not sustainable because the resources is the state that has the resources. They are the ones who are collecting taxes, right? So public education should be a public good.
Yes, that's interesting. And you mentioned Larry Madowo, and also I want to mention Bonny Mwangi. Actually, he made his own this connection. So does the buck stop with individual first, or is the society? What I'm trying to ask, Willy, is where is the problem? I mean, we talk about socio-economic, political, whatever it is, but there has to be a reference point.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was saying the issue, and history records this, right? That developments in society, okay, fundamentally depend on the political leaderships, all right? And the environment, which is not just national, all right? It's also international, all right?
Yes.
When I was studying in primary school in the 50s, we were under colonialism, all right?
Yes.
So the system of education was segregated. The Africans had their own exam, standard 8, it was called Kenya African Preliminary Exam, KAPE, all right?
Yes.
The Asians had the Kenya Asian Preliminary Exam, and the Europeans had theirs. You can guess which exam was very difficult.
Which one was it?
That's the native one. It was very difficult because the colonial system wanted very few Africans to proceed. So it was a deliberate policy where they needed Africans to be clerks, right? In offices and so forth. That was their policy, all right? And the few of them who are brilliant, people like Kibaki and others who went to Makerere, right? There were very few. There were very, very, very few. So there was a deliberate policy to keep out Africans from, what you've called, white collar jobs, all right? And if you look at the history, it's in fact in 1961 when there is a universal education system for kids, examination. So instead of having it segregated, they came up with the idea of Kenya preliminary exam, which brown, white, and black kids
Yes.
sat in that exam. So, and then the independence, when you look at the independence from 63, issues of education, again, it's the leadership. The leadership then wanted, people to be, more people as graduates. That's why you hear about the airlifts.
Yes.
And that's when you hear the government paying school fees for people who are doing A-levels and universities, the county councils helping bright kids from poor homes who could not pay fees and so forth, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that's where the resources are, and that's where the politics is. If it's a politics of equality,
yes,
and humanity, all right? I'm not saying that the individual is not important, all right? And I'm saying the individual operates within a particular context, not in a vacuum, all right?
Yes.
And I'm saying that every individual has a talent. It's just that we don't look, okay? Right. There is this thing about, you mentioned Mwangi, all right?
Yes.
Mwangi, and there's another guy called Gasheke who I know who is a friend, all right?
Yes, yes.
They are self-educated, okay? There are a lot of people who have gone to standard 8 or form 4, but they are very intelligent. They read books, all right? And they come up as, great intellectuals. So that is your individualism that you are talking about, okay?
Yes.
That we are not saying that the individual doesn't have a responsibility, all right? The individual has a responsibility, but they can become better if the environment, okay, nurtures, that particular talent, and where the environment has the value of equity and equality, all right?
Yes.
And fairness. These are some of the values you find in the Constitution, right?
Yes.
And within that, we can now start talking about these soft skills, persuasion, perseverance, ambition, resilience. Okay, that if you want to be a mechanical engineer, this is what it takes, And once we've given people that environment, right, then we can be very harsh when we are telling them, you've got to excel. And the moment they finish, let me tell you, Kevin, during my time, you finished, you graduated on a Friday, and on a Monday you had a job.
Goodness,
okay. So people say, when I tell them that, they say, oh, that is the past. The past is indeed not the past. Okay. All I'm saying is, if the resources are utilized properly, all right, there's no reason why we can't give our kids free quality education from nursery to university. The resources are there, but what we've done is commodified education, all right? And people who have money, can go to great schools. In this country, there are private schools that are fantastic, all right? They can go out to universities abroad, and then they become competitive internationally, all right? Which is a good thing for Kenyans. All I'm saying then is that we must have an environment where everybody has that has that opportunity.
But so please carry on.
Yeah, because we are missing out on a lot of talent out there.
Yes, indeed. And I like, we talked about self-education, and you gave an example of Bonny Mwangi, whom I'll keep on referring because I like what he does and his bravery. Now, listen, I know we've taken lots of time, and just a last segment on this,
yes,
Willy.
Right.
So you talk about the social part of it, and you seem to talk a lot of the politics, or the leadership within a society is very important when it comes to opportunities. So should young people, or not just young people, people that say that, oh, I don't get involved in politics, should everyone be concerned when there's bad leadership? Because some people say, if I talk about politics, my employer will not like it, or if I become very vocal, I'm going to miss a particular certain opportunities.
Well, on a very, very important point, I thought about politics and
Yes.
at the workplace, and yeah. So what was your?
Yeah, so my question is, so should everyone be concerned when it comes to political leadership, rather than saying, "Oh, I don't want to get involved in politics because my employer might shut me out, or people might look at me differently." So is politics important, and everyone must be involved?
First of all, let's say politics is part of our lives, all right?
Yes.
Politics is it starts with a baby that is crying for milk. Because if the baby can speak, they'll be asking, where is the milk?
Yes.
And the parent will have to answer, right? Because that's a material need. It's part of the livelihood, all right, of the kid. And the people who say that they don't want to be involved in politics, I think they mean, all right, they don't want to look for to run for political office, all right? Because I've had a lot of people saying politics is dirty, I don't want to get involved. But okay, that doesn't mean that that particular person is not involved in politics. They are not going to run for MCA or member of parliament or president or whatever, right? But every day, everything that we do, okay, we have been talking about education, and that has been a political discussion.
Yes.
A political discussion. We are not in parliament, we are not everywhere, but who says we cannot talk about these issues, all right? And tell those people who want to be our representatives, all right? That this is what we care about, okay? That's why the Constitution gives us the freedom of expression, association, and whatever. So there is no employer who should actually tell you what your politics should be, because it will be unconstitutional. Article 32, when you look at it, you are entitled to your opinion, right? Your opinion is protected, your belief is protected, all right? And you can have an opinion, about your employer, all right?
Yes.
Because if there is oppression, in the workplace, all right? If there is sexual harassment, if there is discrimination, if you see that there is favoritism, there is nepotism, all right? And that you are being passed over because you happen to be of a particular community, all right? Or a particular race and so forth, all right?
Yes.
Keeping quiet about those issues because somebody calls them politics, you just tell them to go to hell, because once you keep quiet, you as a human being, you feel oppressed, all right?
But Willy, you will say that, Willy, just on that point, if I say, for example, I'm working in an area where, or in an office environment where there's that kind of harassment, and if I come out, I'm going to lose my job. What's the point? Should I just keep quiet and persevere and carry on?
No, you can't. You can't, because that is encouraging evil, and even your church will probably, kick you out of their services if you don't stand up. Okay, I know there are consequences. I know what I'm saying is something that a lot of us will think, let me keep quiet, all right? Let me keep quiet and this will go away, all right? I need this job and so forth, right? But that's what ruins the moral vibe of any country, all right? there has to be somebody who, or some people who have to stand up to that. And that's why there are unions, right?
Yes.
To protect, you know, the workplace, and to protect individuals who come up and they are courageous and they basically say, this is not right. We can't have employers who are paying women less. I mean, they're giving them salaries that are not equal to those of the men. And when
that doesn't happen, Willy. That doesn't happen. I mean, you don't read this on paper every day, that someone's coming out saying the employer is sexually harassing them. You don't hear that.
It's there, and that's why I'm saying, and this is the kind of courage and the political leadership that we are looking for. All right.
Yes.
I want, if Kevin is working in a bank and you know, there is oppression and anything, and I hear Kevin has, you know, has been fired, okay, because of that position, I want to see a lawyer coming forward to defend that Kevin, all right? And I also want Kevin, who has that experience, to be the kind of leader I want to elect to be an MCA or a member of parliament, all right? Because they have a history.
So
and they have a position. Huh?
So will you do that, Will? If you hear somebody saying they have been kicked out of the jobs because they spoke out, will you go to court to represent these people?
I'll definitely do it. I'll find lawyers who can resist that oppression, because that's what kills, you know, the transformative spirit in our country, right? That here is a victim, somebody who is standing up for what is just, humane and fair, all right?
Yes.
And they get punished, and when they are punished, everybody, of course, is crushed.
Yes.
Because they are being told, you talk like Kevin and we'll show you the door, all right? Okay?
That is interesting.
When I taught in the University of Nairobi in the 70s, right? The three universities, Makerere and Dar es Salaam, you know, we had some kind of a union, you might say it, or an understanding that we will make sure that if student leaders in our universities are expelled, all right, we will make sure that they get to study elsewhere, you know, either at Makerere or Dar es Salaam or abroad, all right?
Yes.
And it worked, because I can tell you, and I'll mention names of a lot of people that you might know. You, of course, know of Professor Makau Mutua, who writes a column in The Nation. All right?
Yes, works in New York now, yes.
Yes, Makau was a student leader in 1981, May 15, they had a demonstration and all the leaders were expelled from the University of Nairobi, all right? And through that, through our contacts, we managed to get them to study in Dar es Salaam, okay? And that encouraged student leaders in universities, all right, to stand up to oppression in the universities, because they knew even if they were expelled, there was a process where they could continue with their education, all right? Mukisa Kitui, who wants to run for president, all right? A guy called Rumba Kinuthia, who is a renowned lawyer, all right?
Yes.
And Jared Kajwang, who died, okay? These guys were students in the 70s in the University of Nairobi. They were expelled. And through the same processes, they ended up studying in Makerere, all right? And Mukisa Kitui managed to go to Norway and he got a doctorate, and the rest is history. And there are many I can mention. There is a famous lawyer called Wanyoike Waikwa, you know, who writes a lot now. He works out of the UK, all right? He was also a student leader, and he ended up in Canada. But there was a framework which was helping people who are future, you know, leaders, who stood up, you know, who stood up. So it's very, 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 very important for me, if particularly with the Atwali's leadership in you know, trade unionism, which is zero. All right. If I hear somebody or somebody gets hold of me and says, you know, this is what has happened to me.
Yes.
Because the right to work is, as I said, is the basis of human dignity.
Yes.
And somebody has the right to say, to protect women in the working place,
Yes.
okay, and to have a situation where they can be heard if there are complaints, right? Yes. But the notion that
Willy, what you're saying here, are not what you're telling me right now here, very important, but people don't know this.
Well, you know, that's why we have to popularize this, because there are organizations in this town, you know, FIDA, CRU, you know, Katiba Institute and others. We have to popularize them where people can run to, you know, when they are being treated that way, all right? But we also need to create political processes, all right? Okay, political processes where that matter does not just go to court and so forth. We shame the employer, all right?
Yes.
And then we get people in parliament to raise those issues as well, all right?
Well,
so that's a, you know, that's you can imagine. Look at what Mwangi does, on social media, all right? It's a great example of that. People now have realized that if they have an issue, they can actually ask Mwangi to treat that issue, and call out some people, you know, in power or in employment, or if people have been arrested by the police and so forth, right?
And I've got to say, on this platform,
there's always something that can be done. But you know, and all I'm saying is, and the audience is basically young people, all right?
Indeed.
All I'm saying is that all of you love this country, all right? And you have to make sure that the country loves you back, because at the moment, the country doesn't really, the political leadership really doesn't care what happens to you, all right? So the deal is, all right? The deal is, and this is where the environment becomes important, okay? The deal is, for me, I want to know whether young people now realize that, you know, with the coming elections 2022, that those who are over 18 are entitled to vote, right?
Yes.
And that they, if they are going to participate in the politics of this country, they need to be registered. And the IEBC has been told by the court to register people who turn 18 on a continuous basis, all right? So we don't want to start hearing this business that there are 7 million young people who are eligible to vote and they are being shut out, all right? Because the IDs are not being processed and so forth, all right? That's something that, for me, the young people individually and collectively, okay, can stand up and say this is our right and we want it, okay? There are now political parties run by young people, all right? And there are organizations, social justice centers that are run by young people, all right? There is the LSK, although it has its own problems, but LSK is one of the organizations in this country run by young people. The average age of those young people in LSK is 35, I think, or even 32, all right? So even for young people, when you get that opportunity, all right? And this is why this discussion about, you know, the skills that you mentioned, if we put it, say, in the context of the Law Society leadership, and everybody knows that they have been unable, you know, to run the institution because of egos and divisions and whatever, all right? Now, when I talk to young people, they basically use the Law Society to say, but we got to blame ourselves because we can't say that we are not getting an opportunity. All right, we get an institution like that one, and because there are too many young lawyers, they choose their peers to run the organization. All right, but then they watch, they don't do anything. As the entire profession is challenged. All right. So what I'm saying is, again, the individual is important. The environment is important, but we've got to keep our eyes on the prize, and the prize is we must have leaders who realize that education should be for all, health should be for. COVID has taught us this, right?
Yes. It has opened our eyes. Yes.
It has opened our eyes, and for young people, okay, to realize that they can't all be in county assemblies, right? Yes. They can't be in parliament and so forth, but we are involved in politics.
Yes.
Wherever we are, we've got to have a vision of what is good for the country. All right.
Well,
yeah, because there's nobody in this country who, if I ask them, do you want your kids to have free education and to have everything taken care of? The answer will be yes.
Yes. And they will say quality one.
Yeah, and a quality one. And yes. Those who want to keep their private universities and private academies, I have no issue with them. All I'm saying is the poor are entitled to the same quality of education as the rich. And since the resources are not coming from the rich only, the resources come from all of us, all right?
Yes.
Then they must be used to benefit, the majority of people.
Whatever you're mentioning here is very, very important. And I know we can go on and on talking about this. For those that have joined us, I was talking to Willy Mutunga, the Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya between 2011 and 2016. Listen, it has been a pleasure talking to you, Willy. And I just want to say that so that you can understand. When you talk about Bonny Mwangi, for instance, he always replies, he always reads his text, and he gets lots of them. But he dedicates his time to read everyone that tries to him. Willy, this just last question. You can decide not to answer it. Someone just texted me and asked me to ask you this. Who won the election in 2007?
What?
Who won the election in 2007?
How do I know? I was not the leader of the IEBC. This. Where did that come from? So, Kevin, you should have protected me from that because 2007, I was working for the Ford Foundation.
Yes, I know.
Right?
Yes.
But if you want my own, just as a Kenyan, all right, I think I need to answer that guy. All right.
Please, it's a lady. I have to call Linda Mogute.
Linda who?
Linda Mogute.
I think that's the. I would say, without a doubt, that election was won by Raila.
Your court nullified it, isn't it?
2000 what?
So carry on.
I wasn't a judge in 2007.
I think they meant 2002. That's what they meant, I think. But anyway, carry on. So
anyway, people who keep on talking about the petition in 2013, all right?
Yes.
They will have to read it from my from my memoir, because there's been a lot of questions about it, all right?
Yes.
And when people ask me that question, Kevin, these days,
yes,
this is what I tell them, all right? Okay, because these are pro-Raila people who keep on asking that question, all right? And I always tell them that Raila is now co-president, all right?
Is he?
It's called president in political terms, not in
Yes,
legal terms.
I know what you mean. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want to know what is it that young people find in leaders who give them nothing?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
It's the same thing that I asked the Kamba young people. What
Yes.
has Kalonzo given you over years? That, you know, you stand up and, you know, you want to say this is our king, although we didn't vote for anybody. Okay. And it's the same thing you can ask yourself about Wetangula, about Mudavadi, about Ruto, okay, about Uhuru, all right, about Moi, about everybody.
Yes.
You know, the problem, the young people have to get out of this ethnic politics, all right?
Yes. Yes.
The ethnic politics, that if you look at it, okay, and you think that if Ruto becomes president, you get free education, you are dreaming, okay? These are people who have been in power for a long time and they haven't given you free education. So you've got to think about in your generation, people will give you that, all right?
Yes. Yes.
And get out of this banky and cocaine that the barons have given you for many years. Because I work with young people and I can see, you know, these divisions and, you know, and so forth, all right?
Yes. Yes.
For me, the deciding cases is another different issue.
Yes.
All right. And I get very amused that people think that the only thing I did in the judiciary was to decide the election in 2013.
Yes.
That's the most foolish and unfair, you know, assessment of what I did in 5 years. And people should talk to the people who work in the judiciary and others who are looking at the issue holistically, all right? But if the mentality of the young people is going to reflect the politics of division, all right? And you form something that we're talking about, and you know, the Kambas go their way, the Luos go their way, and everybody
Yes.
else, okay? Education is required by all the communities in Kenya.
Indeed.
Not one particular community.
Indeed.
So
well,
you guys should wake up and smell the coffee and realize that the Kenya needs new politics, and that
yes.
new politics will come from you.
And I'm glad
from your people, you young people.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think this is the right place to end it. Listen, Willy, the last section of this podcast, I normally ask my guest to introduce to another person. But because of time, I will not ask you that. I'm going to send you an email and you can choose to say no. Okay?
No, this time I'll introduce a young person who you can't ask about the 2013.
Okay, well... well, listen, if you go to the list of people who come here, average age have been 31. For example, Bonny was here and Bonny's one mentioned you. So I tried to get a mix. But also, there are lots of people don't want to talk. You know, as you say, you need to be brave. People need to be responsible. So not everyone.
I know a lot of young women and young men who I will recommend people of your generation.
I would love that, Willy. So
yes.
Are you taking responsibility that you will send me two people?
Yeah, just send me the email and in the course of the day, I'll give you two names of, you know, a young man and a young woman, all right?
Willy Mutunga.
Who can actually come and give you a perspective, because the perspective I've given you is a position of, these days I call myself Babu Mapinduzi.
No, no, we need that. We need this kind of knowledge, and so we blend in what we know. As you say, self-education. You know, some of the things you've mentioned here, they might sound basic, but they're very, very important. You know, so and really, Bonny told me that you're the king of Sheng nowadays, so you're very important to us.
Well, I'm a student of Sheng. I'm not.
As you Kofiti, as he really
I used to do so. I mean, now I haven't been speaking Sheng because I realized that it has different versions. All right. So,
well, Willy Mutunga, I've got to say goodbye for now, but I cannot thank you enough for your time. This has been very, very enjoyable podcast. Thank you for showing up, and I'm glad now. We're allies, if not friends. But now you're in my network. That's very important to me.
no, we are allies. We are friends. We are going to have a reverse mentorship with you. All right.
Oh, I love
because,
that.
Because I think what you are doing is important. All right.
Oh, really?
And I promise, I'll get you those two names so that this project continues.
Willy Mutunga, thank
Mm.
you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
And
showing up.
thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate. Okay.
Oh, bless you.
Okay. Have
Bless
a
you.
great day and a great weekend.
Inshallah. Thank you, Mutunga. Goodbye for now.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
That's incredible.